Ethan had always liked quiet work. He was a human engineer, sent to a planet called Xylara Prime, far beyond the edges of known space. The mission was simple, or so he thought. Help maintain the palace of the alien queen, Zira, and show humans were trustworthy. Easy enough, except nothing on Xylara Prime was simple. The moment Ethan stepped out of the shuttle, he felt the difference. The air shimmered with strange colors, and the sky was a deep violet with two suns. Towering buildings made of silver and crystal rose around him. Alien beings moved swiftly, their skin smooth and iridescent, eyes large and unblinking. Ethan felt like he had stepped into a dream he wasn't ready for. "First time on Xylara Prime?" asked a voice, soft and melodic. Ethan turned to see a Xylar nurse approaching. Her skin was light green and her eyes glowed faintly blue. She smiled politely but with a sharp curiosity. "Yes, I guess you could say that," Ethan said, forcing a grin. "Name's Ethan, human engineer, here to help with palace systems." "I am Lyra," she said, inclining her head. "I am assigned to assist the Queen's inner circle. Follow me." Ethan followed her down long corridors lined with glowing panels and strange, humming machinery. He tried to hide his awe as he walked past doors that led to places he could not even imagine. Gardens where floating plants drifted in air, rooms that seemed to stretch endlessly, and pools of water that reflected not just light, but colors that did not exist on Earth. Lyra spoke again, her voice calm. "The Queen is cautious with outsiders. You must be careful. Your work is important, but your behavior matters more." Ethan nodded. "Got it. Behave. Don't touch anything I'm not supposed to." Easy enough. When they arrived at the Queen's inner chambers, Ethan paused. The doors were massive, carved from black crystal and etched with alien symbols that pulsed faintly. Lyra gestured, and they entered. Inside, the Queen sat on a throne that seemed to float slightly above the ground. Her presence was overwhelming. Her skin was deep purple, almost black in some lights, and her eyes were like liquid silver. Every movement she made commanded attention. Ethan felt his stomach tighten. "Greetings, human," the Queen said, her voice deep and resonant. "You are far from your homeworld. Do you know why you are here?" Ethan swallowed. "Yes, Your Majesty. I am here to maintain your palace systems and assist your technicians if needed." He added quickly, I hope I can help." The Queen's gaze lingered on him, studying him as if she could see through his bones. "We shall see," she said finally. "The palace has been unstable. Machines fail. Doors lock without reason. Power flows unevenly. We have had our best engineers attempt repair. They failed. If you succeed, you will have earned our respect." Ethan nodded again. "Understood. I will do my best." Lyra gave him a small smile. "Do not worry. We will assist you. The Queen appreciates competence." Ethan spent the next hours exploring the palace systems. Nothing looked familiar. The machinery hummed with energy he could not comprehend, and the tools he had brought seemed almost primitive here. He realized quickly that he could not just follow instructions. He had to think differently. At one point, he stumbled into a problem in the energy grid controlling the palace's environmental systems. The energy nodes fluctuated dangerously, threatening to collapse an entire section of the palace. Alien engineers had tried several times but could not stabilize the system. Ethan crouched, examining the nodes. He tapped into his engineering instincts, drawing on every principle he knew. The system was unlike anything on Earth, but in a way, it followed patterns he could understand. Slowly, carefully, he rerouted a few energy lines, added a temporary stabilizer, and held his breath. The lights in the hallway flickered, then steadied. The humming machines grew calm. Lyra, who had been watching quietly, let out a low whistle. You did it," she said, amazement clear in her tone. Ethan shrugged. "Lucky guess?" Lyra shook her head. "No, skill. Humans are unpredictable, but sometimes in good ways." Word of Ethan's success reached the Queen. Later that evening, he was summoned to her private chamber. The Queen regarded him with a mix of curiosity and caution. "You solved a problem my best engineers could not," she said. "You think differently. You act differently. That is unusual." Ethan swallowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I just tried to look at it from another angle." The Queen's nurse, Lyra, stepped forward. "He is also charming," she said lightly, smiling at Ethan. Ethan blinked. Thank you?" He tried to smile, suddenly nervous. He was not used to compliments, especially from glowing, intelligent aliens. Lyra leaned closer, lowering her voice. "In our culture, words have power. They shape reality. A joke, if said correctly, can become truth." Ethan's brow furrowed. "I think I'm going to need an example." She laughed softly, a sound that seemed to make the crystal walls shimmer. "Try saying something light. Something you would say to a friend." Ethan thought for a moment. He tried to be casual. "Yes, dear," he said with a joking smile. He meant it as a harmless quip, something humans said playfully. Lyra's eyes widened. Then she smiled. Warm, bright. "Then it is true. You are my mate." Ethan froze. "Wait, what?" Lyra tilted her head. "You said it yourself. In our language, these words are binding even as a joke. It is accepted now. You are my mate." Ethan laughed nervously. "Mate? I didn't mean—" Lyra waved her hand. "It does not matter. The Queen will see. The palace will see. And now, you are bound." Ethan felt the weight of the moment. He had joked lightly without thinking. And now, somehow, it had changed everything. The Queen, observing silently, raised an eyebrow. "Interesting," she said. "Perhaps humans are more capable of unusual alliances than we suspected." Ethan swallowed again. I didn't mean anything political." Lyra's smile was mischievous. "Sometimes, human humor is effective. It can do what caution cannot. Do not worry. I will explain later." Ethan nodded slowly, unsure whether to be relieved or terrified. Somehow he had entered the inner circle of the palace, not through skill alone, but through an accidental joke. And the Xylar nurse, Lyra, seemed pleased. That was confusing. As Ethan left the chamber, he realized something important. Being human in this alien world gave him an advantage. Humans thought differently. They joked differently. They acted differently. Sometimes it could save lives, or start unexpected bonds. Walking down the glowing halls, Ethan muttered to himself, "Okay, so I'm a mate now. Not sure what that even means yet, but it's a start." Lyra appeared beside him, silent for a moment. Then she nudged him gently. "Do not worry, Ethan. Mate or not, you have value here. And value is respected." Ethan felt a strange warmth in those words. Maybe this joke, this accident, was the beginning of something extraordinary. Maybe humans could succeed here in ways the Xylar could never predict, and maybe, just maybe, he would like it. The palace seemed less intimidating now. Strange, but less. And Ethan, human engineer far from home, walked forward ready to see just how far his skills, his humor, and his humanity could take him. Ethan walked through the glowing halls of the palace, his mind buzzing. Being called a mate by Lyra, the Queen's nurse, was not what he had expected. He had meant it as a joke, a casual quip, and now it had consequences he could barely understand. Humans didn't usually deal with rituals and formalities like this. Here, a simple phrase carried weight beyond anything he had imagined. Lyra walked beside him, her steps quiet on the crystal floors. Her glow reflected in the walls, and her eyes occasionally flicked toward him, curious and amused. "You must be careful, Ethan," she said softly. "Being called a mate is not trivial. Others in the palace may react." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "React how?" Like, politely? Or like I accidentally signed a treaty? Lyra chuckled. Some may see it as a serious bond. Others may see it as a threat. And the Queen, she will observe carefully. Ethan sighed. Humans had something similar, but not like this. So my joke might have shaken up the political balance? Perhaps, Lyra said, smiling faintly. But humans are unusual. Your humor can shift the mood even here. That is, valuable. Ethan paused. Valuable, huh? Sounds like I'm already getting credit for things I barely understand. Lyra's laugh was soft and musical. You adapt quickly. That is why you are interesting. They reached a corridor where several Xylar officials stood discussing palace systems. Their eyes flicked toward Ethan and Lyra as they passed. A few whispered, others frowned. Ethan realized that in this culture, gestures and words were sharper than any weapon. One wrong move, one misplaced word, and he could offend someone powerful. Remember, Lyra said, observe first, speak second, and humor, only when appropriate. Ethan nodded, though he had a sinking feeling that humor was rarely appropriate here. Later, he was shown to his temporary quarters. The room was spacious, walls shimmering faintly with color, and strange symbols floated in the air like holograms. Tools and equipment were arranged neatly for him. Yet, no matter how advanced the palace was, Ethan's mind was elsewhere. He couldn't stop thinking about the title Lyra had given him. Mate, he muttered, pacing the room. I didn't even know that was a word here, and now it's official? A soft knock at the door made him jump. Lyra appeared, smiling. May I come in? Sure, Ethan said, trying to sound casual. I mean, come in. She stepped inside, her presence calming. We need to talk about customs, she said. You have caused a stir, Ethan. Your joke was unexpected, but Ethan had been at the palace for a week, and already life felt like a whirlwind of strange rules, glowing halls, and more surprises than he could handle. Being called Lyra's mate still made him uneasy, but he had learned to play along, mostly. He had realized that humans thrived in unpredictability, and the Xylar were anything but predictable. That morning, he was summoned to the central control chamber. Lyra was already there, reviewing energy readings. Her glow was brighter than usual, and her expression was tense. Something is wrong, she said softly when Ethan arrived. The palace sensors are picking up unusual activity outside the city walls. We have not seen this before. Ethan frowned. Outside the walls, like a storm? Or enemies? Lyra shook her head. Not weather, movement, large groups, armed, a faction that opposes the Queen. They plan to strike. Ethan's stomach tightened. Rogue factions were dangerous anywhere, but on Xylara Prime they could devastate the palace in minutes. He had seen alien conflicts from a distance, but now it felt very real. Do you have any idea how many? Ethan asked. Thousands, Lyra said. They move quickly, and their technology is unpredictable. We must act, or the palace may fall. Ethan's mind started racing. Humans were known for improvising under pressure. He glanced at the palace's defense schematics displayed on the holographic table. The Xylar had walls, energy shields, and automated drones. But the rogue faction had tactics the palace engineers could not anticipate. I can help, he said, trying to sound confident, even though his heart raced. We need to think differently. They're expecting the usual defense patterns, but humans, we improvise. Lyra's eyes brightened slightly. Your approach, it may work, but you must act quickly. The Queen has authorized your involvement. Ethan took a deep breath and focused. He began analyzing the palace systems and the surrounding terrain. The rogues would likely attack the main gates first. But if they were smart, they would find weak points, secondary walls, energy conduits, or access tunnels. I need to set up a series of traps, Ethan said aloud. Nothing lethal at first, just to slow them. Then we can use energy barriers, in combination with automated drones to contain them. And I'll need some decoys. Lyra nodded. We can provide personnel. You lead, human. The next hours were a blur. Ethan worked alongside the Xylar engineers, explaining each step in simple, clear language. They followed his instructions, though some were skeptical. Humans often ignored traditions, but Ethan's plans were logical and practical. Slowly, he started to gain their trust. Move the energy barriers here, he instructed. Not too fast or the drones may misfire. And program the secondary gates to lock at intervals. That will confuse them. One engineer hesitated. This is unconventional. The Queen's protocols do not allow. Ethan held up a hand. I know. But unconventional is our advantage, trust me. Humans think outside the lines. Lyra observed silently, but her eyes betrayed pride. Ethan was demonstrating exactly what she had said before. Humans could do things the Xylar never imagined. By afternoon, the defenses were in place. Ethan had also designed simple yet clever decoys. Robots disguised as palace workers moving along expected paths. If the rogues followed them, they would trigger false alarms, giving the real defenders time to react. When the alarms finally rang, Ethan and the palace engineers rushed to the observation deck. The rogue faction was approaching faster than expected. Their ships were sleek and black, armed with energy weapons. They moved with precision, but Ethan noticed something immediately: predictable patterns. They expect us to react in the usual way, Ethan whispered. That's good. That's very good. Lyra looked at him. And what will you do? Ethan grinned slightly. We improvise. The first wave of attackers hit the outer walls. Energy shields activated, and automated drones engaged. Ethan watched the patterns carefully. Then he pressed a few controls, rerouting power to the secondary barriers, creating confusion. The rogues fired, but many of their shots hit decoys or harmless sections. Chaos began to spread in their ranks. Lyra's eyes widened. It works? Your methods? Ethan smiled. Humans adapt. We see patterns others miss. Sometimes a little. Chaos is the best defense. The battle intensified. Small teams of rogue ground troops attempted to breach palace entrances. Ethan directed Xylar defenders, combining human tactics with their technology. He instructed some units to retreat temporarily, drawing the rogues into traps. Energy nets closed around intruders, and drones immobilized them efficiently. One rogue commander noticed the confusion and tried to adapt. Ethan quickly realized their strategy. They wanted to split the defenders, weaken them with small attacks, then strike the main gate. Not on my watch, he muttered. He coordinated a countermeasure, using palace communication channels to simulate multiple human and Xylar units where there were none. The rogues hesitated, unsure which direction to attack. That hesitation was enough for the real defenders to regroup. Lyra moved beside him. You are remarkable. They cannot anticipate you. Ethan shrugged. Just thinking differently. Humans do it all the time. Hours passed. The rogue faction began to retreat, their forces scattered and confused. Ethan's combination of human ingenuity, quick thinking, and willingness to improvise had turned what could have been disaster into a controlled situation. Finally, the Queen appeared in the observation chamber, her presence commanding silence. She regarded Ethan closely. Human, you have changed the outcome of this encounter. Your methods are unconventional but effective. Ethan bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. I just tried to use what humans are good at. Lyra's smile was quiet but proud. You have saved many lives today and shown the value of human perspective. The Queen studied him for a long moment. I underestimated humans. You are unpredictable but effective. That is a rare combination. Ethan felt his chest swell with a mixture of relief and pride. Humans had always been underestimated. Here, in an alien palace thousands of light years from Earth, his skills and thinking had made a real difference. Lyra touched his arm lightly. Your joke, your humor, it prepared you for this. You did not fear the unexpected. That is why you succeeded. Ethan laughed softly. A joke prepared me to fight an army? Only humans could pull that off. Lyra's eyes sparkled. And humans can also inspire trust. The Xylar see you differently now. You are respected. Ethan realized she was right. His presence had changed more than just the outcome of the battle. He had proven that humans could adapt, improvise, and succeed, where even advanced alien technology might fail. Humor, courage, and ingenuity, all simple human traits, had saved the day. As the palace settled into calm, Ethan felt a strange sense of pride. He was far from home, facing beings who were stronger, smarter, and more advanced. Yet humans had something unique, the ability to see differently, to act unpredictably, and to make connections that others could not. Lyra leaned close, her voice soft. You may think of this as survival, but it is more than that. Humans have qualities the Xylar cannot replicate. That is why you succeeded. Ethan nodded slowly. I guess we really are something special, huh? You are, Lyra said simply, smiling. And now, you are also part of this palace, in ways you do not fully understand yet. Ethan realized she was right. His accidental bond with Lyra, his humor and his quick thinking had given him a place in the Queen's inner circle. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a human with influence, someone who could make a difference in ways that no Xylar engineer alone could. For the first time since arriving, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. Humans were more than their technology or tools. They were adaptable, creative, and brave. And here, on Xylara Prime, he had proven it. Lyra gave his arm a gentle squeeze. Rest for now. Tomorrow, we will plan for the future. There are more challenges ahead. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had not expected. He had faced danger, adapted, and succeeded. And somehow, in the middle of an alien palace, he felt at home. Tomorrow would bring new problems, new puzzles, new surprises. But for now, Ethan allowed himself a moment of quiet triumph. Humans had arrived, and in their arrival, they had shown that courage, ingenuity, and a little humor could change the course of events, even in a palace thousands of light years from Earth. The palace had returned to a cautious calm. The rogue faction had been repelled, but Ethan knew that peace was temporary. On Xylara Prime, threats often came in waves. He walked through the glowing corridors, still absorbing everything he had learned in the last few days. Lyra met him near the central chamber. Her glow was faint, but her expression carried determination. Ethan, the Queen has asked for a full report on the defenses. She wants your input on improvements. Ethan nodded. Of course. But you do realize this means I'm officially part of palace planning now, right? Lyra smiled faintly. Yes, your ingenuity has earned respect. The Queen recognizes your value, and your human perspective is appreciated. Ethan chuckled. Appreciated, huh? I like that. Humans always like to be appreciated. They entered the central chamber. Holographic projections of the palace and surrounding terrain floated above the floor. Engineers and advisors moved around, studying energy flows, gate positions, and defense patterns. Ethan felt a surge of responsibility. This was bigger than just fixing systems. Lives depended on these decisions. The Queen sat in her elevated position, her silver eyes watching him carefully. The palace of Xylara Prime was quieter now, though the tension from the recent attack still lingered in the air. Ethan walked through the glowing corridors, a strange mixture of pride and responsibility weighing on him. He had proven humans could think differently, improvise, and succeed where even advanced alien technology struggled. Yet he knew that trust and respect were fragile in this alien world. Lyra met him in one of the crystal-lined corridors. Her glow was faint but steady, reflecting the calm that had returned after the recent chaos. Ethan, she said softly, the Queen wishes to see you. She wants to discuss long-term plans for palace security and alliances. Ethan's eyebrows rose. Alliances? I thought my job was fixing machines, not negotiating peace treaties. Lyra smiled faintly. You are no ordinary human. Your presence, your thinking, and your courage, they influence others. That is why you are here. Ethan took a deep breath and followed her to the Queen's chamber. The silver-eyed monarch regarded him with a steady gaze that made his stomach tighten. "Human," she said, "your actions have proven your worth. Not only have you defended this palace, but you have also inspired confidence among my inner circle. I wish to formalize your role in our plans." Ethan blinked. "Formalize? I'm just an engineer. I don't usually—" "You are more than an engineer," the Queen interrupted. "Your insight, your courage, and your unpredictability are qualities we value. Humans may be strange, but they are effective. That is why we require your continued presence." Ethan swallowed. Humans often underestimated themselves, but here, his uniqueness was exactly what mattered. "I understand, Your Majesty. I'll do my best." Lyra stood beside him, her presence reassuring. "You have already done more than your best," she said, "but now, we will work together to prepare for the future." For the next few days, Ethan worked closely with the palace engineers and Lyra. He helped redesign defense systems, improve energy distribution, and create more decoys and traps. Each day he introduced a little more human ingenuity into Xylar technology, blending it seamlessly with their advanced systems. But beyond strategy and machines, Ethan began to understand the subtleties of Xylar society. Trust was not easily earned. Even among the Queen's inner circle, suspicion lingered. Some advisors were cautious of humans, seeing them as unpredictable or reckless. Others were quietly impressed by his results, though they would not say so aloud. Lyra observed him closely during these days. "You have changed how they see humans," she said one evening as they walked along a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. "Not just because you solved problems, but because you remained yourself. You did not try to mimic their ways. You acted as a human, that is, powerful." Ethan smiled faintly. "I guess humans can surprise even the smartest aliens." Lyra laughed softly. "Yes, and in that you have earned respect." Their walks became a routine, a quiet time away from the glowing panels and humming machines. Ethan began to enjoy Lyra's company more than he expected. She was clever, calm, and capable, yet her humor and subtle warmth reminded him of home. And while he was cautious about his own feelings, he noticed that Lyra seemed more relaxed around him too. One afternoon, as they reviewed a new energy mapping system, an unexpected message arrived. It was from scouts monitoring the outer perimeter. A rogue faction had been spotted gathering at a distant location. They were regrouping, preparing for another attack. Ethan frowned. "They're not done yet. They want to test our defenses again." Lyra's expression was steady. "Yes, but now we are ready. Your planning, your human insight, it has strengthened us." Ethan nodded. Humans thrived under pressure. Adaptability was their strength. And here he had the tools and trust to make a difference. Over the next hours, he coordinated the palace's response, refining defenses and adjusting drones for maximum efficiency. He trained Xylar personnel in improvisation techniques, showing them how to react quickly to unexpected situations. Some engineers were hesitant, but others began to understand the value of thinking outside their rigid protocols. During a brief pause, Lyra approached him quietly. "You have done more than expected," she said. "Not only for the palace, but for me." Ethan blinked. "For you?" Lyra nodded. "When you arrived, I did not know what to expect. But you showed courage, patience, and humor. You did not just survive here, you thrived. You inspired me." Ethan felt a warmth spread through his chest. Humans were often praised for bravery or skill, but here, in this alien world, Lyra's acknowledgement meant something deeper. I didn't know I could inspire anyone out here," he admitted. Lyra smiled faintly. "You did. And more than that, you made me question traditions I thought unchangeable. Humans challenge things in ways the Xylar cannot always see. That is admirable." Ethan laughed softly. Challenge traditions, huh? I guess humans do that naturally. Lyra tilted her head. Yes, and you do it with respect, courage, and kindness. That is rare. For a moment they walked in silence, the soft glow of the palace reflecting on the crystal floors. Ethan realized how far he had come. He was no longer just a visitor or a joke. He was part of this palace, part of this world. And he felt a growing connection to Lyra, one that went beyond duty or survival. That evening, as the palace settled into quiet again, Ethan and Lyra were summoned to the Queen. She sat with a calm authority that made the room feel smaller and more intense. Human, she said, her voice measured. Your actions have strengthened not only the palace but the trust between our people and your kind. Humans are now seen as capable allies, not outsiders. This is due to your courage, ingenuity, and unique perspective. Ethan bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm honored to help. The Queen's gaze softened slightly. And your bond with Lyra, it is recognized by tradition and protocol. You have proven yourselves worthy of trust and respect. Your relationship strengthens our palace, not just in words, but in reality. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. The bond, initially a joke, had become something serious, acknowledged even by the Queen. He looked at Lyra, who gave him a small, encouraging smile. We will continue our work, Lyra said quietly. But know this, your presence matters. Your human nature matters. You are not just a helper, you are part of our world now. Ethan felt a rare surge of pride. Humans had always been underestimated, even among themselves. Yet here, thousands of light years from Earth, his qualities, his humor, courage, and ingenuity, had changed perceptions and outcomes. Days passed, and the palace's defenses became stronger. Ethan worked tirelessly with Lyra and the engineers, but he also took moments to enjoy quiet walks, discussing culture, philosophy, and even the simple humor of being human. Through these moments, their bond grew stronger. One evening, as they observed the twin suns set over the distant mountains of Xylara Prime, Lyra spoke softly. Ethan, I called you my mate as a joke at first, but now it is not a joke. You have earned that title in ways that matter. Your actions, your heart, and your mind, they are worthy. Ethan's face turned warm. Lyra, I didn't expect this when I came here. I was just trying to survive, help, and maybe make a difference. I didn't think I'd end up here. Lyra smiled. And yet, here you are. Humans are unpredictable, clever, and brave. You are exactly what this palace and I needed. Ethan looked at her, the glowing blue of her eyes reflecting in the crystal floor. He realized that humans could thrive anywhere. Even in an alien world filled with complex customs, advanced technology, and powerful beings, they could adapt, inspire, and succeed. And now, with Lyra by his side, he knew that humans could also form bonds that mattered. Bonds that were stronger than mere words or titles. Bonds that could survive danger, cultural differences, and the unknown challenges ahead. The palace of Xylara Prime felt a little less alien now. And Ethan, human engineer, far from home, felt a little less like an outsider. Humans had arrived and they had shown their value, not just in skill but in courage, ingenuity, and heart. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps new threats, and certainly new surprises. But Ethan was ready. He had proven humans could rise to the occasion. And more importantly, he had proven that even a joke could lead to something extraordinary. As he walked through the glowing corridors with Lyra, Ethan realized that being human was not a weakness in this world. It was a strength that could inspire, protect, and even change the course of events in ways no one could predict. And that thought gave him hope. Hope that humans, far from Earth, could thrive and even flourish in the galaxy, wherever they went. The palace of Xylara Prime was alive with energy, though not the chaotic energy of attacks or alarms. This was a controlled, purposeful energy, the hum of preparation, planning, and strategy. Ethan walked through the glowing corridors accompanied by Lyra. They were both calm yet alert, knowing that threats might still appear. But now they were ready. The scouts reported no major activity today, Lyra said softly. But the Queen expects further testing of the palace defenses. The rogues may attempt another strike soon. Ethan nodded. Humans thrived under pressure, and he had learned that improvisation often turned the tide. Then we'll be ready, and we'll show them exactly why humans can't be underestimated. Lyra smiled faintly. Your confidence, it inspires others. That is rare here. Ethan chuckled. Humans inspire in our own strange way. Guess I've learned how to do it on a galactic scale. There,